yes. And I would turn around and say, well, does the same rule apply to the vice president or the president for that matter? So it's rather interesting. There was some sort of confrontation. The Trump side says that there was no physical altercation. Neither side denies that there wasn't an incident, and it does sound like there was a verbal altercation. But that appears to be an issue. Now, the other side is Section 60. That's where people are more recently interred.
Right.
And there is a hard rule on that, and I think that's a very good rule. But it's not clear if this was really over Section 60. There seems to be a little difference of interpretation there.
Right. I think the interpretation is somewhat muddled. Is it that you can't take any photo or video at all at Arlington National Cemetery? That doesn't seem to be the case because tourists do it each and every day. But then it goes even further as part of, I believe, the statute that you can't do it in the furtherance of partisan political activities. And so maybe that's where people are threading this needle here. But the Trump campaign says, and these Abbey families said they invited the former president and other officials to be in these photos posed with family members there in Section 60. So, can a family member or a family who has lost a loved one in combat or in this horrible terror attack, just by inviting a partisan person, a political candidate, can that invitation supersede any rules Arlington might have on the books about this? That's what I'm grappling with here.
I was grappling with it too when this thing first came up. I was like, what are you saying? That if you're running for office, you can't go to Arlington National Cemetery? That makes no sense because every office holder, or not every, but most office holders are running for office at some point, or running for re-election or running for another office. So what are you supposed to ban all of them? The other part is the photography issue. Photography is done. Now, of course, one would have to read an intent. Is the intent of the photographer's video that they're going to run this in some sort of political ad or something like that? Now you're really getting into parsing into some of the legalities of it. And I don't know that he wants to run that in an ad per se. I mean, he got the, as you're showing right here, this is probably what, certainly Donald Trump, former President Trump wanted everybody to see was him, basically paying his respects to those who lost their lives in Afghanistan during the pullout.
Yeah.
So he kind of got what he wanted, but it really gets into an issue, I think, of, okay, but if the vice president was there laying a wreath and there were White House photographers or whatever there, would that fall under the same rule? And I'm sure they would say, well, no, that's different. And I'd say, well, the vice president's running for president. And I find it rather interesting. The Section 60 issue, I kind of put that aside.
Okay.
If they were trying to go to Section 60, and it looked like they were trying to do photography, that is pretty clear, fast rule. You're not supposed to take photographs in that area. I don't think there's an issue on that. But as far as the wreath part, I do find that there's a lot of room for interpretation either way.
Yeah. Hal, there was a statement by a Trump campaign spokesperson to NPR. Stephen Chung is the Trump campaign spokesperson. He said this to NPR: "We are prepared to release footage if such defamatory claims are made. The fact is that a private photographer was permitted on the premises, and for whatever reason, an unnamed individual, clearly suffering from a mental health episode, decided to physically block members of President Trump's team during a very solemn ceremony." So would it be in the best interest of this story for all sides if the Trump campaign did release that kind of unedited, unabridged video footage that they claim to have here? Should we all see it and see it for ourselves?
I think it's going to get released anyway. I do find it interesting that a Trump campaign official is making a mental health diagnosis like that. That was one that kind of jumped. You go, well, now you're kind of really stepping out there and saying some things that you probably don't want to say. Obviously, there was an altercation. I don't know if there was any partisan feelings one way or the other with the National Cemetery staff. Maybe they had some strong feelings. But the issue is, can a former president, certainly invited by the families to go there, can they go there? And can photographers come in like people take pictures all the time? And I think they were trying to, it sounds like they may have been trying to stretch the rules a little bit.
Okay.
maybe deny him this. That's what it kind of sounds like, but I don't want to jump to conclusions.
Yeah, Hal, we have a statement in. Representative Mike Waltz, the congressman from Florida, the Republican there, he posted this on social media today. This is a signed post or letter with some of the survivors of the Abbey Gate attack who were also on hand for this that day on Monday. With this note, I'm going to read it. It says, "We would like to express our heartfelt thanks and appreciation to President Donald Trump for his presence at the recent Section 60 gathering, honoring our children and their fallen brothers and sisters. On the 3-year anniversary of the Abbey Gate bombing, the president and his team conducted themselves with nothing but the utmost respect and dignity for all of our service members, especially our beloved children. We had given our approval for President Trump's official videographer and photographer to attend the event, ensuring these sacred moments of remembrance were respectfully captured, and so we can cherish these memories forever. We're deeply grateful to the president for taking the time to honor our children and for standing alongside us in our grief, offering his unwavering support during such a difficult time. His compassion and respect meant more than words can express." So that was the statement from some of these individuals who are on hand for this, Hal. But Arlington National Cemetery is saying and confirming that there was an incident, and also, though, that a quote-unquote report was filed. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's an internal report amongst cemetery officials or whether or not that's a police report. Now, if it's a police report, someone is eventually going to see that, and very, very soon, are they not?
I saw the report filed, and I have to tell you, their response was what we would call perfect bureaucracy. It meant absolutely nothing, as far as I could tell. They are a federal land. They are federal land. It's a federal jurisdiction. There would not be local law enforcement report being filed. There could be report with federal law enforcement on site. They may have an internal report that they filed. It could be a mere pro forma thing that they have to do when there's any incident. So it may have very little legal standing in that regard, other than to document or memorialize what actually took place.
I see.
But when they answer that with that, when the report's been filed and stuff, I go, wow, that is really not answering anything. So I got to tell you, I kind of stood back on that. And I go, I've been in government for a long time, and I know some terms you can use to kind of sidestep it. And I go, yeah, that's one of those terms. So there you go. So,
all right, Hal, I guess there are more questions still than answers about this story. It's not even 24 hours old just yet, and we'll stay on top of it here on Live Now. Hal, thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
All right, in the meantime here, we do have just some posts on social media from members of Congress. Aaron Blake there at the Washington Post posted this statement from Democratic Congressman Jerry Connolly, who represents Virginia. Now, Connolly's office is calling for this report to be made public of what Hal Kempfer and I were just discussing. So Connolly says this, that I've joined families in grieving at Arlington Cemetery and spent my career ensuring those who served can be buried at our national cemetery. It's sad, but all too expected that Donald Trump would desecrate this hallowed ground and put campaign politics ahead of honoring our heroes. This is a man whose own military generals have disavowed, a man who has called heroes like John McCain suckers and losers, a man who has insulted Gold Star families. His behavior and that of his campaign is abhorrent and shameful. I urge Arlington Cemetery to publicly release all that transpired yesterday so the American people can ensure the ground in which our nation's heroes are buried is not being debased by a man who has no concept of service and sacrifice. We also got a statement in as well on social media from Republican Congressman Mike Waltz there from Florida. And he says this. Let's put that tweet up too. He's been tweeting extensively about this today. We have it there. This is what he said. I'm amazed at the outrage people have over Gold Star families allowing cameras to capture a beautiful ceremony commemorating their loved ones. He goes on to say, outrage should be focused on those responsible for the Afghanistan withdrawal, the unnecessary deaths, abandoned allies, return of terrorism, and world chaos that came with it. Well, Senator J.D. Vance was asked about this repeatedly today on the campaign trail, first in Pennsylvania and secondly in Wisconsin today. This is how he responded to a question about this episode in Pennsylvania today. Let's watch.
Hi, Senator. Good to see you again. Ali Novello with CBS News. I have two questions for you. One, could you tell us more about the altercation that happened at the Arlington Cemetery? And two, what does debate prep look like for yourself and for Trump at this time?
Well, I think, first of all, the altercation at Arlington Cemetery is the media creating a story where I really don't think that there is one. There is verifiable evidence. There's verifiable evidence that the campaign was allowed to have a photographer there. There's verifiable, they were invited to have a photographer there. There's verifiable evidence that the families of these poor people who had their loved ones die 3 years ago at Abbey Road, they had, Abbey Gate, those 13 Americans, a lot of them were there with the president. They invited him to be there and to support them. That's not an insult to the memories of their loved ones. They wanted Donald Trump there, and thank God that we have a president who stands with our veterans instead of one who runs away from them. It is amazing to me that you have apparently somebody at Arlington Cemetery, some staff member, had a little disagreement with somebody, and the media has turned this into a national news story. You know what I think our veterans care a lot more about? That Kamala Harris's VP nominee lied about his military service. I think that our veterans care a lot more about that. And the other thing our veterans care a lot more about is that 3 years ago, 13 brave, innocent Americans died, and they died because Kamala Harris refused to do her job, and there hasn't been a single investigation or a single firing. Look, sometimes mistakes happen. That's just the nature of government, the nature of military service. But to have those 13 Americans lose their lives and not fire a single person is disgraceful. Kamala Harris is disgraceful. We're going to talk about a story out of those 13 brave, innocent Americans who lost their lives. It's that Kamala Harris is so asleep at the wheel that she won't even do an investigation into what happened. And she wants to yell at Donald Trump because he showed up. She can go to hell. Thank you, sir. One more. Any other questions here? Ma'am. Oh, sorry, debate prep. Look, the way I'm doing debate prep is by spending time with these fine people. This is how I do debate prep. Is you get out there. You get out there, you talk to people, you talk about the issues that matter. We don't need to prepare for a debate with Tim Walz. We need to get out there and talk. We need to get out there. Look, we need to get out there and talk to the American people. That's the biggest way that we're going to prepare for that debate on October the 1st. And I guess CBS is hosting it, right? So we got to be nice to her, ladies and gentlemen, because CBS is hosting the debate in a few weeks. Ma'am.
All right, Senator J.D. Vance there at his earlier event today in Erie, Pennsylvania, telling Kamala Harris to go to hell. So that was quite some heated political rhetoric that we hadn't yet heard from the running mate of former President Donald Trump there as he embarked today on this Rust Belt state tour, first in Pennsylvania and then in Wisconsin. All right, I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks for being with us here. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're diving into yet another international headline. More updates on the Israel-Hamas war when we come back.
Yeah.
These dudes are getting $3,000 a month, no strings attached.
Hell yeah.
So what are they gonna do?
Let's go!
Learn to fly? Buy a monkey?
That's a dream pet right there.
Universal Basic Guys, September 8th on Fox.
How did the leader of a small village become known as the worst mayor in America?
She cannot continue to intimidate and gangster her way through this.
From showy billboards and expensive police bodyguards to Vegas trips and retaliation allegations, we bring you an inside look into Mayor Tiffany Henyard and the drama in Dalton. Streaming now at Fox 32 on Fox Local. Search Fox Local on these streaming platforms. Download and watch today.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. the one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
It is time for the question. Count the number of noodles, both white and black. How many total noodles are there?
Are you one of 50% of Americans who can answer this question correctly?
Let's look at the answer. 7.
Fox Mondays. It's not about what you know.
What happened?
I got the wrong answer.
It's about how you think.
I panicked. Do not feel ashamed. You're as stupid as I am.
Patton Oswalt hosts.
Are you in the top 1%?
The 1% Club. All new Mondays on Fox and watch anytime on Prime.
Your good day streams here. Trust the Good Day Chicago crew to get your day started right. The wake-up news, weather, and traffic you need with a good time, guaranteed. Streaming live on your smart TV. Weekday mornings at Fox 32 on Fox Local.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. 6:15 here on the West Coast, 9:15 there on the East Coast. Live picture there over Israel. That's where our next stories take us as we approach the 1-year mark of the Israel-Hamas war. I want to put up this tweet from this. They let us know this, that a fallen IDF soldier who was abducted on October the 7th and held hostage in Gaza was rescued and brought back to Israel. The soldier fell during the October 7th massacre, and his body was taken hostage in Gaza. His family has been notified at the request of his family. His name will not be published. We send our deepest condolences to the family and will continue to accompany them there. In just 2 days' time, a live hostage rescued yesterday, and unfortunately a dead hostage, an IDF soldier, recovered, the body of which has been returned to Israel today. And so we want to rely on our friend there in the region, Fox News correspondent Jake Paul, for where the war stands right now. Let's watch.
In one of the largest operations carried out by Israeli forces in the West Bank in months, soldiers descended upon the cities of Jenin and Tulkarem overnight into Wednesday morning.
Around 2 a.m., the army raided the camp with a large number of soldiers on foot. They raided the camp from different sides. We were surprised.
Israel says its latest counterterrorism campaign aimed at destabilizing Palestinian militant groups. Through airstrikes and small arms fire, as many as 10 militants were killed.
In seconds, very fast, we felt like something come down on us from the sky, and there was an explosion.
The Palestinian Authority warned of repercussions over Israel's siege, which comes at a time of escalating tensions in the region. Israeli forces continue fighting Hamas in Gaza. The U.S., Egypt, and Qatar are still pushing for a ceasefire deal, but so far, no breakthroughs this week. After a massive weekend escalation involving Israel and Hezbollah, the exchange of fire between both sides continues. During a visit to the Israel-Lebanon border, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu commended troops for helping stop a surprise attack by Hezbollah, but says it's not enough.
This is not the end of the story. When will it be the end of the story? Only when we can return the security and the residents to their homes safely.
We're learning Israeli forces have retrieved the body of a soldier who was killed and abducted back on October 7th. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says they will do everything they can to get all the hostages back home, both alive and dead. In Tel Aviv, Israel, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Jeff, thanks so much. And remember, as of yesterday, Israeli officials told us that at least 108 hostages remain in Hamas captivity. In the meantime, let's talk about all of this and more with our friend there at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Hussein Abdul Hussein. He joins me. Hussein, thanks for being with us here. There's a lot to get to. Before we get into some of the raids there happening in the West Bank by Israeli forces, we brought our viewers the news, the good news, that this Muslim Bedouin Israeli who had been held hostage by Hamas since October 7th was rescued in a daring raid yesterday. And then we get the news today that a fallen IDF soldier whose body has been repatriated back to Israel was recovered as well. What's going on with the hostage question here? What is Israel doing? Do they have renewed intelligence? Do they feel optimistic that they have been pulling these operations off. Can we expect more of them, Hussein?
Well, these operations are complicated, and we know that Sinwar surrounds himself with the greatest majority of these hostages, mainly the ones who are still alive. Maybe they number 70 or 75, I think. So Sinwar, I think everyone thinks that he's in this small area. He's surrounded by these hostages. That he's had them move with him wherever he moved so far. The ones who were left behind were either left behind by chance because Hamas didn't have enough time to take them away with them, or because they were already dead, which we've seen yesterday and today. Of course, it's amazing news to have seen this Bedouin Arab Israeli saved, and the story of saving him just undermines all the accusations that Israel is a racist state, that Israel only cares about the Jews, that Israel deployed its military, put them in harm's way to rescue an Arab Israeli, tells us the whole story that we need to know about Israel. And of course, today, just getting back the body of a fallen soldier adds to the idea that Israel doesn't really give up on its own citizens.
Yeah, of course, Israel, a multi-ethnic, multiracial democracy there in the Middle East, of course. Hussein, let's talk, though, about this other theater in the conflict here. And maybe we shouldn't go so far as to call it a theater of the Israel-Hamas war. This isn't Gaza we're talking about. We're talking about the West Bank. And we learned today overnight that the IDF, the ISA, and Israel Border Police began a counterterrorism operation in two settlements there in the West Bank. In the area of Jenin, 3 armed terrorists who posed a threat to the security forces were eliminated in an aerial strike by an aircraft. Now, because I'm going to put up the operational update too by the IDF. Now, Hussein, this is happening in the West Bank. Are these the same elements? Are these the same figures and characters and individuals of a smattering of terrorist organizations? Not only Hamas, but Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah. Are they all in the West Bank? What's the IDF doing? And will it take their eye off the ball in Gaza by doing this?
So let me just first say that Israel has always had troops in the West Bank, a bigger number of troops in the West Bank than in Gaza, which tells us that the West Bank has been really not doing good. Over the past 2 or 3 years, we have seen the Islamist Iranian regime and its proxies agitating the Palestinians, arming them through the Jordanian border, supplying them with arms and money. We have seen new militias come online, such as the Lion's Den, which was not heard of a couple of years ago. So all these organizations have been arming themselves, training, and trying to wage what they call a third intifada. Now, just for background for our viewers, Jenin is an area that has a story that's very similar to what happened in the Gaza Strip. In 2005, Israel pulled out 10,000 settlers and dismantled, I think, 7 or 8 settlements. 4 of these settlements were dismantled in the area of Jenin, and I think at least 2,000 settlers were pulled out. And Israel pulled out its forces and handed over this area to the Palestinian Authority. Now, because the Palestinian Authority is very incompetent and corrupt, they haven't been able to manage it in a good way. So poverty hit this area, which became a fertile ground for all these militias to recruit and to train. So this is what's going on. I think Israel has had an eye on this area for some time. There have been incursions, but what we see now is just a continuation of or intensification of what we've seen over the past few months.
Okay, but and correct me if I'm wrong here. These raids by the IDF inside the West Bank were happening well before October 7th.
So we've seen an uptick in violence year after year since the year, I think, 2016, 17. Each year we get a higher number of attacks originating in the West Bank, which means that the Israeli forces have had to increase their incursions and the raids to nab terrorists and masterminds of attacks inside of Israel. But what we've seen today is by far the biggest operation so far. I think Israel has come to the conclusion that they have to deal with this threat once and for all.
Okay. What is the threat, though, that is posed to Israel inside the West Bank? Are these raids purely preemptive? Do the Israelis have intelligence that wherever they do the raiding to root out these terrorist elements, are they going to stage and strike attacks inside of Israel? Help us make sense of that.
So two things. They've been attacking inside Israel for the past 3 or 4 years, and attacks include knifing, ramming cars into Israeli civilians, random shooting, at times killing Israeli kids. So these attacks have been going on for some time. Now, what I think is happening now is that we've heard the leader of Hamas, Khalid Mishal, call on the Palestinians to start suicide operations. Now, this tells me that because Hamas has been broken as a military command, they're trying to come up with new tools of violence. And here comes the suicide bombing idea. And I think Israel is trying to go in and break these rings before they form.
Okay. Rashida Tlaib, the Democratic Congresswoman from Michigan, tweeted this: the Israeli government has launched the largest invasion of the West Bank in decades with fighter jets, drones, armored vehicles, and ground forces. She says the goal has always been the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. Of course, she herself is of Palestinian descent here. Hussein, I just want to clarify, what is Israel's relationship with the West Bank? Yes, it is governed and functioned by the Palestinian Authority. It is self-autonomous here. But when you hear the likes of Tlaib say Israel occupies the West Bank, I know this is a very complicated question. Is that necessarily accurate and true? Does Israel occupy the West Bank?
Well, technically, it does not. Israel respects all the agreements that it has signed with the Palestinian Authority, and the West Bank is divided into 3 zones: Area A, Area B, and Area C. And Jewish Israelis do not go into Area A, especially, and they don't go into Area B. The tension that you see is mainly in Area C, which is mainly under the control of Israel. Now, the reason why Area C is under control of Israel is because of these agreements that we have. So Israel is not doing anything that's changing the situation, anything that's unprecedented. What you see happening further now that doesn't usually happen is that Israel has had to go into Area A, but this is only the military. They have to go in as an incursion, get masterminds of attacks on Israel, and come back. So whatever Congressman Tlaib thinks, I think she has a different dictionary and a different definition to all these terms.
Okay, Hussein Abdul Hussein, we'll leave it at that. I can't thank you enough for your insight into this very, of course, restive region of the world. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right, in the meantime here, we do want to take a quick commercial break. Nearing the bottom of the hour here, we do want to lighten the mood just a tad. When we come back, we'll tell you why in 2 minutes.
Wounded Warrior Project empowers post-9/11 veterans and their families with life-changing programs and services.
I faced my PTSD, and I'm a better husband and father because of it.
We help warriors get the expert care and support to thrive.
I got involved. I got healthier. I got to be an athlete again.
Through our programs, community, and advocacy, we're proving
anything is possible.
Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/together.
Name someone you have a crush on.
Older men.
Something Steve Harvey and Miss Clean have in common.
That tight body.
Bring out the cougar.
It's a whole new season of Steve. New Family Feud starts September 23rd.
Weeknights at 6 on Fox 32.
The hits just keep on coming.
Fox Mondays.
I can name that tune in one note.
Whoa! Jane and Randy put contestants
under pressure. For
a chance to win cold, hard cash.
I I like it. I love it.
Perfectly said, and that is correct.
So ask yourself one question.
Ooh, let the dogs out.
Can you name that tune? Mondays on Fox and watch anytime on Hulu.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
September 23rd. Get ready. Twirl into a new season of Sherry.
Weekday mornings at 10 on Fox 32 Chicago.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. 6:30 here on the West Coast, 6:30 there in Los Angeles, where so many Dodgers fans came out to Dodger Stadium today to get a chance to get a pretty cool piece of sports memorabilia. And that, of course, is the LA Dodgers star, Shohei Ohtani, is being immortalized in bobblehead fashion. Well, Fox 11 is all over this story. Reporter Hal Eisner was out there talking with fans. Let's watch. This was from about an hour and a half ago.
The Fox 11 News at 5. And now at 5, it is Ohtani excitement at Dodger Stadium as fans line up real early for a giveaway at tonight's game.
Some hardcore fans have been camped out for hours for the new Shohei Ohtani bobblehead. And with that great shot there, we welcome you to the Fox 11 News at 5, simulcast on our sister station, Fox 11 Plus. I'm Christine Devine.
And I'm Alex Michelson.
Fox 11's Hal Eisner is there at the game. Hal?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's more popular, the Orioles game tonight or this Shohei Ohtani bobblehead. Take a look at that guy. And take a look at those folks out there. There have been lines all day long here at the stadium. Most people telling me they're here because of that bobblehead. It started before 12 noon. People started to wrap themselves around the stadium area for a game that doesn't even start till 7:10 tonight. To be clear, bobblehead nights are always popular here at Dodger Stadium, but the bobblehead for Shohei Ohtani, from what we understand, is the most popular, at least this year. Listen to what some people told me. Are you here for the bobblehead?
Oh, bobblehead, see the game, and Dodgers beat the Orioles.
Okay, well, what's that about the bobblehead?
It's just a cool bobblehead to have, to share it with the little ones.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sell it. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Some people sell it.
I know, that's crazy.
On eBay, I saw them for hundreds of dollars.
That's crazy. Like someone said, back in the day, you just enjoyed the game. It was free. The kid loved it.
Because he's a big guy, and we're from Japan too. And, why not?
Well, yeah, it's going to be my treasure.
Your treasure?
Yeah, for the bobblehead today.
You have Ohtani shirts?
Well, of course.
All right. But
it's a gift from my son. So I came because he bought me a ticket. So he knows that I like Ohtani. Yeah, so I go for him.
For you and Decoy.
Well, the Ohtani bobblehead clearly popular. They've got this one right here, which is like the regular bobblehead. And then they've got these, which are gold. And that's what's really driving people to want to be here. How does it feel to have the regular one?
Feels really good.
And the gold?
Feels amazing. Feels great.
Feels great? You going to sell it on eBay?
No.
No, okay. All right, so fans out here, thousands of them. For the game, for the bobbleheads, back to you in the studio.
All right, so Hal, I've been to a bobblehead night or two, and I believe not all the fans get them. You got to get there early to get one. Is that right?
That's why the lines. That's why all the people stood in line all day long.
If Shohei Ohtani's bringing in this much money, how cheap are the Dodgers? Can we not get a bobblehead for everybody out there?
That's not the way it works.
Why can we not make 53,000 bobbleheads? The guy's making $70 million. Clearly, there's some money to go around, right, Hal?
Well, right. And for numbers, there are 40,000 of the bobbleheads. Can't seem to get a number on how many gold ones there are. They're much less gold than there are regular ones. But, to some people, the regular ones are Also pure gold.
Yeah. Well, we
They're
saw that video of Shohei Ohtani being given the gold one today when he arrived with Decoy. So Decoy is there. We'll see if the dog is a good luck charm tonight. Hal Eisner, thank you so much. Have fun out there. Back to the more serious news. New at 5.
All right. So I wanted to show you that portion there with Alex Michelson there and Christy Devine and Hal Eisner there outside of Dodgers Stadium for all the bobblehead madness. Take a look at this tweet of Ohtani himself and his dog Decoy. And you see Ohtani with the gold bobblehead. This is posted on the LA Dodgers account. So we'll be talking about this when we come back from a quick commercial break. Alex posing the question I think all of us are asking and want answered. Why can't we all get one? And how much are these going to go for in due time? We'll be back in 2 minutes. Take a look at that line. Wow.
Our journey to $250,000 begins now.
TV's #1 game show is back and even bigger.
This is not the same floor.
Now with 100 players battling for territory.
There's so much strategy this season.
If you want to rule
Taylor Swift songs,
you have to duel.
Hero. Love. Together. Haze.
Light it up!
The Floor premieres Wednesday, September 25th after The Masked Singer on Fox.
Fox 32, home of the draft.
I am so excited.
Training camp. The fans. And the Fox 32 sports team.
Welcome to Orange Friday, right here.
Fox 32 Chicago, your home of the Bears.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. So if you want to talk to your kids, you got to get it trending. I was just trying to get your attention.
Could I just ask?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
For Dodgers fans in Los Angeles, take a look. Here it is up close and personal at Bobo Fu with a look at the Shohei Ohtani bobblehead with his dog Decoy there. And in the meantime, we do want to bring into the conversation someone who knows a lot about these bobbleheads, and that, of course, is Phil Sklar, who's with the National Hall of Fame of bobbleheads and the museum, and he joins me. Phil, thanks for being with us here on such short notice. I know you've been tracking all of the hullabaloo with all of these bobbleheads there. So many fans were lining up to get one of these very coveted pieces of MLB memorabilia here. How popular is an Ohtani bobblehead going to be? Not just today, not just tomorrow, not just a week from now, but for years to come.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you really never know. But the trajectory that he's on, is just incredible. The fan base that he's, gotten and, across not just the U.S., not just Los Angeles, not just the U.S., but internationally is amazing. And so I think that's really what drives the value up. There's people that want these not just in California, but in New York, in Florida, and Japan, and all over the world. So people who can get extra ones at the stadium tonight or putting them already up on eBay, and they're selling for hundreds of dollars, to start. And for the gold ones, thousands of dollars.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask what the resale value is going to be. Yes, there are kind of